Hey, everybody, it's Libby again. And on today's episode, we have Sharon Tinberg. Sharon is a friend, industry friend. I would consider a personal friend as well. But Sharon, why don't you tell us who you are, what you do, and why did you choose this crazy entrepreneur journey?
Okay, well, I'm Sharon Tinberg, and I chose this entrepreneur journey because there's a part of me that's a perfectionist, and it drove me nuts when people in the corporate world made these decisions I couldn't live with. So maybe that's a good definition, though, is the fact that I'm a bit of a control freak. I won't, anybody who knows me will just, they know that. And I think an entrepreneur needs to be a bit of a control freak. Because if you are, you cannot manage everything you're managing, especially before you have people. You got to be a control freak until you have your first admin person. Then you got to learn to let go. So it's a 360. It's an absolute 360. But if you can't control all of those balls, then the only way you can control all of those balls before you have an admin person is to take control. And some people aren't going to like that. But I'm going to say I'm a stickler on consistency, and that is why I left the corporate world, because I hated their rules. And for the first year, I had very few rules, and it was tough. 6 months. It took me 6 months to catch up. And I started I'm a personalized cleaning service off of my business cards and told clients exactly what I was to do. And that caused 50 of my complaints to go away. And I definitely fired my staff. My ex-husband had 5 part-timers. That's a long story. But I got rid of all of them and implemented my policy and procedure manual. Everything worked a lot better after that. So anyway, I forgot what your question was, Libby. It was, why I became an entrepreneur. And that's why. Because I could put those pieces in place. At the corporate world, it would take you 2 years to try and put anything in place that was going to make a real impact. And I'm going to make it happen today. If it's worth happening, it's probably worth happening before all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. Okay? So I could do that. And then I left the cleaning industry. And the reason I started the consulting industry was because I have a cleaning service and I had a 5-year non-compete with my ex-husband. And I certainly couldn't go back to the corporate world after 20 years. It would never have worked. So I started a consulting firm because that's all I knew was cleaning and telling people what to do, which is kind of what consulting is all about.
Yes.
It's a whole new business. It's a whole new business. And now I'm kind of out of the consulting thing in a way. And I'm really only working on the segment of the training. And it's almost like a Tom Stewart. It's a software thing. And it's a whole new business. And I don't like it anymore. And I like starting the other two. And fearlessness is what it's all about. I have this big sign in my sunroom that says faith. And I've looked at that so much lately thinking, when you're in new business, it's faith. I mean, you're building a website on faith. Building a website is faith. Just depends on how much money you spend on it, how much faith you need to have. But you really don't have anything until people can log in and pay you, so it's all faith. So
I just had Holly on yesterday, and we were talking about control freaks and how, we're both very structured. I'm very structured. I'm doing an organizing series this week on organizing your Google Drive. You should see the amount of people showing up to it. It's a challenge, but me and Holly, I said, Holly, I call those business owners like the one I used to be. Remember the term helicopter mom? They would hover over their kids. I said, we were helicopter owners, but we're in remission.
Until you start another company and then you get right out there and buzz around again. And you know why? Because you need to in the beginning. You don't know what's going on. When you have a new business, in a way, you do make this up as you go. It's so much better for you guys than it was for my upstairs maid in 1988. I mean, you can get some input now. It was 3 Rolodex cards. It was all that there was in cleaning in 1988. They were all 3 books written by Jeff Campbell. Yeah. And they were little paperbacks about this big. I bought all 3 and the rest is history. But truly, there was nothing but a Rolodex. So you guys have a lot more help, but you still make if you're an innovator and you're doing something that nobody has done before, you're making it up as you go.
Absolutely. You do.
The only
I
difference
can
now is you discuss it with AI, so all of your clever ideas are out there on the internet within 5 minutes. What's that? You know?
Well, unless you're using a corporate level AI like the corporate chatbot, and you can keep your intellectual property inside of your AI chat.
I did not know
So,
that. How much is
yes.
that?
So there are different levels. So there's the free version of like ChatGPT, and this is
Right.
something I taught on at ISSA and our IA roundtable. So there's the free version, then there's the paid version, like the $20 a month, and
Which
then
I
there's
do.
then there's the enterprise version. So the enterprise version is for businesses, and it keeps your information secure. So anything we put in, it's not going to put out. It has that option to select it. It also has a higher capacity of like words and searches, but it protects your information. You're more protected again because it's made for a business. So it's not going to put necessarily your financials out if you're running reports in there. So the enterprise version is only $30 a person versus $20 for the personal paid. So I always recommend that our companies, especially your employees, you pay the enterprise one, and it works under the same domain. So like, let's just say Woot Recruit has it, and then our employees within Woot Recruit have access to their own, and it's secured as well. Because the other thing about AI too is that it's public information if you're for the most part. And so like if you're asking it for things that aren't ethical, be careful because if you get sued, they're going to pull your chat threads.
Well, now that's interesting. I didn't know that. I do say, though, that I think it's ironic because with me doing this training kit, I use AI a lot, and I'm also writing a book. So what's interesting is when I go in there and I ask it to rewrite a business letter or something, simple, a post, whatever, it can spit out a million ideas. But when I ask it to rewrite things for my training kit on cleaning or to rewrite things for my book on cleaning, not many people write about cleaning. I mean, it is
No.
not the number one sexiest topic in this world. Everybody writes about business, but nobody writes about cleaning. So I oftentimes get back almost exactly what I sent it when it comes to cleaning. And I said to Jim, well, this bites because I might get done with this book. You all can go out there and steal my information and make it 10 times better than me because I fed it in. Somebody has to feed this. And I kind of feel now how writers feel, because people are stealing their data and it's an interesting topic. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm writing a book, right? I'm writing a business
I
book on
read it.
structure, but we're also writing a kids book on cleaning. It's super cute. We got the first copies of the artwork yesterday, and I'm featuring all three of my children in the book. And Yaya, my youngest daughter, she is the cleaning boss, and her brothers are there. It's based off Jungle characters, but her brothers are two characters in the book that work for her, and she's trying to teach them how to clean. And so it's about being how to be a leader more than it is being a cleaner, but it's around cleaning and super cute. I'm excited for it. It goes in line with my actual book that we're launching, but it's a cleaning book for kids. And then me and my daughter want to launch a cleaning course for kids, like gamify the course so that kids can learn how to clean and organize their rooms, and then they get little prizes or incentives. So we're still figuring that part out.
I saw your show with her. She's so cute. I think this is ingenious. I think it's great. And I'm going to tell you who did a great thing was Ronnie Kendricks. I don't know if you know him. He's starting a new cleaning company in Colorado. But he put out, I told him about coloring books because when I was growing my cleaning service, there was no internet. You had to do it all through, making connections. So I brought coloring books to daycare centers. They, of course, don't make any money. They're like us. So they would always take them. And so they would, and I bring the crayons and I would have a coloring contest. So like, let's say Mother's Day, my mother actually wrote the little poems and colored the cartoons with carbon paper. She used carbon paper and copied them. And then it was a little poem and it would talk about how to treat your mom, like say thank you and this and that. Halloween, we did safety things. And then at the end, we would have them like color in for a bouquet of flowers and pick the best color. And their mother got a free thing for Mother's Day.
I'm stealing that.
Well, Ronnie Kendrick stole it. He loved it. And I'll tell you what, I cleaned a 3-generation lady off of that. She got my coloring book when her daughter was little. Her daughter had her daughter, and I cleaned, and her daughter had a baby. That's how old I am. But in 20 years, I
Wow.
was able to just span all 3 generations, and they all came out of that coloring book. So anyway, Ronnie recreated it, but very cleverly. He did it like you're doing it, about kids keeping their rooms clean and how their mother will be proud of them and how they can find their toys and something like your daughter said. He's brought it to a few daycare centers. They absolutely love it. But I'm saying one step further. This is what I wish ISSA would do for our residential cleaning industry is they would create these coloring books that you all can buy for 15 cents a piece, and you could put your profile on the back of them. And that's what will make a name for the residential cleaning industry in this country, is if we make an impact on kids.
Yes. And so my daughter is the one who has inspired me to do it. And we're going to give away. So with our book, we're going to give it to all of our customers and all of our new customers. It's going to have a coloring book to go along with it, just mainly because my publisher told me that all kids' books need like a giveaway or a download, like a coloring sheet.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also going to, the character in the book is an orange elephant because, well, Organize's colors are orange. And so we're rebranding Organize It to add an orange elephant. And we've ordered like 1,000
Great.
little orange elephants to go with the book to give to our customers.
Great. But you're giving to your customers and they already have you. I've always
Well,
said
yes,
this.
we're going to use it for marketing as well.
What you give to your customers is good cleanings and nothing else.
I love that.
I don't care if you give them boxes of candy. If they have cobwebs in the corner, they're gone. Once you've gotten them, don't waste any more money on that. Just give them the same team with the consistent cleaning and use those coloring books and give them away at daycare centers.
I've never thought about daycare centers. Worth the whole podcast.
God, they got money. Go to the richest daycare centers in town and give them your coloring books, because those people have money to spend on. You can't possibly think those mothers are cleaning their own homes.
No, but I love that. You can give them chocolate, but if they have cobwebs in the corner, they're gone. That is
Definitely.
like a quote card from Sharon Tinberg right there.
I don't know if you think you can buy your clients, you're crazy. And I say I'm sorry, Libby, but even bringing them a coloring book is buying your clients. You've got them already. Just keep them by cleaning good.
Clean good. So let's talk about cleaning, right? You had a cleaning company, loved the story. I kind of had started mine for the same reason, went through a divorce, right? But
no, actually, I started mine. My ex-husband started ours.
Oh, you started the consulting
after 20 years. Yeah. So it was what caused the divorce, probably.
Probably. But now, tell us what you're doing now, because I think it's super cute.
Well, at the very end of the 17 years of becoming a consultant after the divorce, I have now created an animated training kit for house cleaning. Got honorable mention at the Innovation Awards at the convention, and I'm very proud of that because I had to fight my way. Talk about fearless. I had to fight my way into even being able to apply for it because it's a commercial thing and they didn't want residential. And the way I got in there was a lot of commercial people. Well, not a lot. I only sold it for like 2 weeks and I've revamped it all. So I'm back up again as of today. But in those 2 weeks, the big sales were commercial because they wanted to learn. They wanted to go residential, but there was nothing out there that would really teach somebody how to clean a house. I mean, it's how to motivate them is out there. And there's consultants that teach you how to keep them there. And Root Recruit tells you how to bring them there. But Tom tells you how to judge the KPIs. And Holly tells you how to judge KPIs, how to get them scheduled, but how to price them. Holly's great at that. But nobody tells you how to clean the house. And so I animated that and brought it there. At commercial, love it because it does really show them how to do it. And I think that's part of why I won the honorable mention. So anyway, besides the animation, what's really important is it's strategically driven. I don't care how cute the animation is. If you aren't showing them something that's going to work, they aren't going to follow it. This will work because and when you talk about fearless. We were discussing this before we went on. I remember 17 years ago when I said to people, you could clean a house perfectly every single time. I literally had to dodge tomatoes and cans being thrown at me. I mean, they weren't, but boy, I could feel those daggers. And I lost a lot of, I'm not the most popular consultant out there because I make statements like this. But I will say after 17 years, I have people in the audience who will say, yes, you can clean a house perfectly every single time because I finally closed in the last little gap. Let me give you an example. In a bathroom, there are 9 steps to cleaning a bathroom. When I visited 60 offices. I probably trained 1,000, literally 1,000 cleaners. And what they always missed was the bathroom door. All 60 cities, I had pictures of dirty door facings and frames, and I knew we had to fix that. So the way it's fixed is, and my first videos don't show it this way, but we have steps, and step 6 starts with the bathroom door. You put nothing into your apron. That was another stupid thing we did. We started out proudly packing everything into that apron, and then we started cleaning the bathroom. Well, every time you lean over the bathtub, all these towels are in your way, all this crap is in your way. The bottles are falling out of the loops, and they hate the apron. Well, no wonder. We don't put anything in the apron now until step 6, Libby, because that's when you need it to clean and shine. So it's very strategically driven. It saves lots of time, lots of towels, and you will never miss a thing if you follow.
I love it. And so what's the other part you were telling me about? It's different because you don't need a what? Trainer?
You don't need a trainer in a way. You do. You need a trainer to guide, but you don't shadow anymore. So the problem with trainers is several things. One is they're wonderful, but one is they all have their little tweaks and they do
Yeah.
things a little bit
They
differently.
all
So
clean different.
essentially just a tiny bit different. So if you've got a brand new person and they have to shadow 2 trainers, they're going to be like totally confused. Or if your trainer does one little tweak that leaves something out, that new person's going to leave it out. So this gives you the consistency, gives you the steps being followed exactly the way they're supposed to be followed, because believe me, they make sense. The other thing that's unique about it is, of all the manuals or any training you've ever done online, unless you do your own training, but if you buy somebody else's, they're all their products, their tools, and you got to take them out in the field and show that cleaner what they got to use anyway. Our manuals are editable, and that is very unique, very unique. Yes, you go into the so they watch the animation, which isn't editable, but then you go into the manual and you can bring in your products, your tools in the trash. It's very detailed, but I say, you want to take the trash can, remove the trash, blah, blah, blah. But I don't say what to do about the trash bags, because some companies bring their own. We brought our own because we didn't want to waste time looking for their trash bags. It wasn't worth the 10 cents to us. But some companies would never bring them. If you don't want to have to tell your employee what to do when you get in the field, and that's the whole thing about this, there's no shadowing, there's no training. When they get there, they're ready to go, and you simply guide them and show them what they did wrong. Then you have to have an editable manual. And you have to edit this just like you have to input your stuff to software. You can't schedule anybody if you don't input your clients. You can't teach somebody how to clean if you don't input your products and your tools. Okay. So once they watch that, they take a quiz, they're pretty well ready to go. There's no reason why you should say a word when you get in the field.
I love the fact that they're editable. That is something different and rare, because you may be using different products or tools. Like you said, do you supply the bags? Do you not? Paul is here, and I'm not sure if you wanted me to bring him on.
Sure.
Well, I love that. And I think that it's a great idea. I think the idea of not shadowing is really like a disruptor when it comes to
software. You can't schedule anybody if you don't input your clients. You can't teach somebody how to clean if you don't input your products and your tools. Okay. So once they watch that, they take a quiz, they're pretty well ready to go. There's no reason why you should say a word when you get in the field.
I love the fact that they're editable. That is something different and rare, because you may be using different products or tools. Like you said, do you supply the bags? Do you not? Paul is here, and I'm not sure if you wanted me to bring him on.
Sure.
Well, I love that. And I think that it's a great idea. I think the idea of not shadowing is really like a disruptor when it comes to our community, because I think it's something that we all think that we have to do.
Yeah, and you don't. You absolutely don't. And when I go to an office, Paul can tell you after I leave it, it might fall back into the old pattern. But after I leave his office, Sandra doesn't clean when she teaches people how to clean. They don't watch Sandra and shadow Sandra. They watch the video, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So it
Awesome.
makes your trainer really like their job more, because this is what I've been touting lately. Well, I'll start from the beginning. I don't want a trainer to wear cleaning clothes when they're training. I want them to dress up nice, because we are little companies and it's really hard for cleaners to find something that they think is going to give them a future. And when I used to have tons of people on MCI long distance, I had classes of 50. And I used to stand up there and give them my little blah, blah. And I would say, I want you to look for someone whose job you want in management. And I want you to act like, look like, and dress just like that person. And someday you'll get that job. Well, my question to owners is, what job is that cleaner going to want when they walk in the door? Certainly not the trainer's job, because the trainer's cleaning. They're going to get a cleaning job. Why would they want the trainer's job? But if the trainer is
Yeah.
out there all dressed up and all they're doing is guiding them, saying, what did you miss? Now, what did you see in the video? They're going to want that job. So it gives some place for people to want to go. It also makes your cleaners suddenly want to become trainers. Nancy Hollicamp, I know Paul knows her. I don't know if you do. She had Secret for 14 years. And she wanted Secret to be a trainer. And Secret said, I want nothing to do with that for 14 years, because she was a smart cookie. And it's a lousy job if you're training over and over and saying the same thing over and over again. You're like, I see quit. Fifth day of me being in, this is Nancy will tell you, fifth day of me being in Nancy's office. She wasn't happy about everything I did, but she was thrilled with this. Secret went in her office and said, I'll take the trainer's job.
I love that.
14 years, because she never would have to train again. She was praying for turnover, because then she didn't have to clean.
But I like that analogy of dressing different while you're training. It's a different
Mhm.
mindset approach. And I've personally ruined a couple good cleaners by trying to make them trainers.
Amen.
And it's a lot of stress if they're trying to clean and the trainee is shadowing them. It puts a lot of anxiety on people who are like high stress or have a lot of anxiety, because they're trying to do a good job at cleaning their job and trying to do a good job at training. And we've ruined and lost a couple technicians because of. So love that approach.
Sharon?
Are you here? Because I see the setting. I was going to say to Libby, is he here to talk about my new startup company or his new startup company, which I just adore? Do you know
No.
about?
What's that?
You know about Paul's new company, right?
I don't think so. So tell us about it, Paul.
So for the last, 11 months, we're building a website. The name of the website is imadethearrangements.com. And this started out as a kind of funeral planning website. So
Well, that's what I thought it was by the name of it. I was kind of like,
good. I'm glad
that's where
because I'm glad because some people think floral arrangements. But
Party arrangements.
once you know what it is, you won't forget it. So this kind of started out as a kind of go in, plan your own funeral, right? And the whole idea here was to kind of relieve your loved ones of this burden, right? We pass away and our loved ones are distraught, and now they have 24 to 48 hours to plan a funeral, right? So that was the premise. And, then it kind of evolved into more of a legacy planning site. So, I'll just kind of paint the broad strokes. So this is all about your final wishes. So we have a questionnaire that kind of becomes the product, and we call that the wish capture. And this is a pretty deep dive, a series of questions that you'll answer. And some as simple as, do you want to be buried? Do you want to be cremated? But then it's set the tone for your end of life celebration. What would you like people to wear? What would you Would you like food served? What kind of food would you like served? Identify readings, identify the people to read those. And then, what mark have you left on the world, right? Things like this. So it's kind of a deep dive. When I started to go through it myself, I thought, like, there may be a few people that just don't have the bandwidth to do this. So we came up with a kind of a shorter version as well. So we have kind of what we call the final 14, which is just kind of check the boxes. So when you get done with the wish capture, you'll click kind of, completed, save and exit, and it'll automatically email you a PDF with all of the information. So now you can take that and you can send it to your loved ones. They'll know exactly what your final wishes were. And then we ask you to assign a wish keeper and think along the lines of an executor. And the wish keeper will have access to your account, limited access while you're alive. Their key function is to enter the date you pass away, right? So that's critical. So you're going to pick somebody who will probably survive you. We suggest you pick 2 just in case. So then within the site, you can upload as many contacts as you want with cell phone numbers, email addresses, and then you can put together a notification of passing. Once that date of passing gets entered, all of your contacts will get notified that you passed away. Now, you can tailor that however you'd like. It could be as simple as, hey, I recently passed away and here are my funeral arrangements and I hope you can make it. It could be, hey, I'm throwing one hell of a bash on Saturday. I'll be in the urn. Kind of whatever you want. There's also a section in there where you can store account information. Here's all the accounts that I have need to be closed when I go. And that could be bank accounts. It could be social media
Hey,
accounts.
Paul, you got to get on your own show. They used it 5 minutes of
All
mine.
right. Sorry.
But I felt it needed to be told because it's Libby at my age. I know it's a big gap that's not out there. And my friends are going to adore this because it's one thing we have not taken the time to do. And I know because I've lost a few good friends now, the kids are calling me. I mean, one gal called me using her mother's phone. So I thought it was the mother telling me the husband had died because he had cancer. So, I mean, if you can avoid all of that, it's great. But Paul, meanwhile, I thought you were on here to tell everybody how wonderful my training is.
Listen, I'm so happy and so excited for Sharon with, the technology that she's introducing. And I really wish her well to some extent, because if she does very well with the technology, she'll never come back to my office again.
Okay.
And that upsets me. But
That's funny.
I do. I wish her all the best.
That's great. I love your business idea. I do think it's something that's not talked about. I lost my ex-husband. He drowned in an accident. And,
I'm sorry.
That will make you think when you have to do these things for your children. Like, we were already separated, but, I have the only surviving grandchildren on his mom's side, and these were all his only kids. And when you have to go through that, and how horrible it was, absolutely horrible. I ended up having to do all the arrangements. I'm the one that paid for it, because nobody did anything. And it was either a lack of, everyone was shocked or everyone didn't know what to do. But because I had the kids, I needed to send them off. I needed to send him off properly for my children.
Sure.
But after that, let me tell you what, I got my ducks in a row, because it's been 8 years since he passed away. But I even have my burial plot. I have my headstone picked out. I have my outfit. I have, everything that's going to happen. Because I don't want my kids to have to do that for me, what I did for their dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're one of 17% of the population.
Surprising.
I knew I was weird.
Actually. My mother died at 98, and we never once had that discussion with her. We did not feel comfortable with it. My sister and I rolled with it. We got a funeral put together. We knew she wanted to be cremated, which made it more difficult. I mean, she died in Wisconsin. I'm in Texas. But we got it put together. But that's why your side is so valuable. My sister and I, neither one of us were from that generation where you just don't discuss something that's uncomfortable with your parents. Today, you can ask them anything. But back in my day, you didn't. So it was like, to ask my mother what songs she wanted at her funeral would be like you're saying, okay, Mom, we're getting ready to count your money. How soon are you going to go? I mean, really, it was impossible. So that's why I'm so happy with what you have. I am a single woman with no children. You are going to make my life of my friends' lives so much easier.
Yeah.
Oh, hopefully not
Um,
for a long time.
Hey, if this site doesn't get up and stay up pretty soon, it might be tomorrow.
but no, thank you for sharing. I think it's super, super important and very valuable.
Yeah.
And I don't think, like, even from a business owner's perspective, do you even know what's happening to your business and your bank accounts if you, let's just use cleaning companies. Most cleaning company owners started on an accident, started because they needed a side gig, started because it was a low startup or because they could clean. It was maybe the only job they could get. And now they actually have a business or they're supporting their family. And I would probably assume that the majority do not have this thought out. Like, what happens if something happened to you as far as your business, your LLC, your bank accounts, or even your employees? Will they still have a job?
Well, and I'll throw this at you. 40% of Americans have life insurance, right?
I have it.
And
It's just, I have it.
why is that number so low? That number so low?
Because it's a poor investment.
Well, listen, it's so low because we think that we're invincible, and we don't realize time. We don't realize the value of time and how quick time flies. So when you're 25 or you're 30 years old and somebody suggests you buy life insurance, your first response is, I don't need that now, right? And people put it off. When do they think about it? They think about it when they're a little older, right? You're already on the back nine. And you know what? It's like, okay, let me look for life insurance now because I'm getting closer to the end. Well, guess what? Now you've got pre-existing conditions and now the premiums are outrageous and it's unaffordable for a lot of people. So you know what? People miss the boat. And it's the same reason that people don't plan for retirement. Same thing, right? We just think we're going to be here forever. So, young business owners just starting out, yeah, it's essential that you make these plans, right? Look, we all hope to live forever, but most of us won't.
No, and sadly, I think it takes a life-changing traumatic event to make you get serious about it. And sometimes it happens when it's your friend, so you're already in that age bracket, unless it was an accident, right?
Great.
And for me, it was my ex passing away. So all my kids have life insurance, all my kids have retirement accounts, and we started with my daughter when she was born, and the boys, my older boys, have had them for the last 8 years because we did it when their dad passed away.
That's right.
And I don't tell them they have retirement accounts. I said Austin, when he's 18, or like when he's 30, he'll be setting pretty well, but he doesn't even know it exists.
He may now.
Well, yeah, he doesn't follow his mom on social media. It's okay. But no, I think it's important, especially as business owners, to protect your company. And if your company is a means of income for your family. So love that. Sharon, not to get distracted and off topic, but we can go back to your training and back to, I want to hear probably what's been the biggest struggle with launching the new business?
The website. It's been a nightmare because it does require a different site because of the editable manuals. And
Okay.
it was already starting to slow down when I had the old site before I licensed my kid to ISSA. I had an editable manual and a site. And ISSA, of course, couldn't support the editable manual. And I went, that's not that important. Go for it. But I had about 80 clients before I licensed it to them. I was only up for about a year and it was already slowing down. So the only good thing that my new developer told me was it needs to be coded. And my old developer told me that too. So if it's going to hold 1,000 clients, which I'm planning on, it's got to be able to, because everybody's editable manual is their own. So it's not like I've got 6 manuals out there, bathroom, kitchen, and dusting in English and 3 in Spanish. No, every one of you has those 6 manuals because it has to be out there because you're editing them. So it's a lot of data. And that made it very confusing. And then I'm still an idiot. I'll admit this. So this is my 8th website at my age. My first one was in 2004. I thought I had been raked over the coals and wasted enough money on these things that I had been sucked into not knowing what I was doing for the last time. And I got bit one more time. And some people know this. I know Paul does, but I talked to a gal the other day that only knew it an owner because she got bit too. I did not know that when you sign a contract, I think we might talk about this, the coating on the front end that you entered that site with and the coating on the back end, because front end and back end have to talk, you have to own in your contract. And if you don't, you're basically everything you paid, and I paid 16 grand, is in the hands of your developer.
It's
And
theirs.
she would give it to me. So at convention, I thought it was going to come up, and today was the first day we actually was able to take one of my old clients, get them a coupon code because they can't pay for it. They've already bought it, and get them up, and it's working. So I can say today, I might tomorrow actually hear my first cha-ching after close to 100,000. So that was the most frustrating thing. The animations were long, and it took a long time to rescript. I mean, this is not something you just spin out. I had to redraw the whole floor plan. You start out with nothing but a blank piece of paper. I even kept all my little drawings. I was cutting things out, pasting them one over the other, tried to figure out how I was going to get everything that I wanted to show, because I was able to draw the floor plan. So unlike when you shoot it live, if there's no blinds in that house, you don't show blinds. When you have a floor plan that's animated, you show everything.
Yeah.
So it was a lot.
So I have so many ways to go right now with it, with what you just said. One was, you told me the very first, I think it was the very first time we met, that you were getting ready to retire. And and I keep reminding her of this every time we see each other. I was like, aren't you retiring soon? And now she's like, I'm going to have 1,000 users. The first thought that come to my mind was like, didn't she just tell me she was going to retire soon? So I guess that's off the table.
No, I tried it for a year, maybe. I mean, and I took it back for good reason, but I don't know if who.
Hey, if you're having fun, who cares?
Listen,
There are
woman's
people
got
that died at 102. Who is the guy? He's my idol. I should remember his name. He just died, and he wrote all the big Moving On Up. What was that? The serial Moving On Up to the East Side. Which one was that?
the Jeffersons.
The
Jeffersons. Who wrote that? Who was the director of that and the creator?
I don't know.
It wasn't Gary Marsh.
No.
Well,
I'll have it the next time we meet. He died about 6 months ago at 102 in the middle of another big production.
listen, Sharon's got more energy than most teenagers I know. So she's been up to us. How many times have you been to us? 3 times? 4 times?
Great. Yeah.
3. And listen, she's ready to go at 6 in the morning, and she'll go till 10 o'clock at night. It's amazing. It's hard to keep up with her. I don't know, she hasn't been wearing sneakers as much as she used to, but she'd always wear sneakers, and that's because she's always running. She's always on the run. So yeah, you're not retiring. Stop that.
Okay. She's the one who said it. That's why I was just like,
Yeah. Well, I did in a weak moment. No, it made sense
In a weak moment.
until I got there. And then, sometimes it's be careful what you wish for. You just might get it. I think retirement is one of those things. Everybody tells you it's wonderful until you get there. And then if you have a hard time with them, a lot of them say, oh, it's really not all that great.
I think we're all brainwashed in that we're supposed to live to retire. Like we're working to retire. I'm like, why can't I live that life right now? I never want to retire. And if you have a job that you love, you don't ever need to retire. You can do it until the day you die because you love it and it jazzes you up and you have energy. So why am I just working until I retire? I could die before then, and then I'm going to regret everything because I never lived my life. So I think we're all brainwashed in that, we're waiting for retirement.
I agree. Yeah.
And
I will say there's another area. Everybody's brainwashed into kids, because now that I'm 75 years old, 74, I just turned 74. What am I doing? And I run into other grandmothers, and they'll look at me and say, do you have kids? And I go, no. And they go, I am so sorry. And I'm like, what automatically thinks that that's a problem? So that I'm really realizing that at my age, that poor 25-year-old women are brainwashed into thinking everybody has to have a child. And believe me, I spent 2 days with my grandchild, my Jim's grandchild this summer. Oh no, not everybody is meant for this high stream maintenance thing that you have at your possession 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm no part of it. So,
listen, when people ask you, your response should be, no, but we're still trying.
Well, I do say that. If you could get me pregnant, I would be a multi-billionaire. I'd be on ABC, NBC, CBS. Everybody would want to know how this happened.
I was going to say that you should say to them, I'm sorry. Like, oh, you have grandkids? Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they are
but
fun, but sometimes you're stuck with them. It doesn't always work out so well with the parents and full circle. So I asked my mother once how she felt because my sister and I both have no kids. She was never a grandmother. She is so practical. She's a farmer's wife. She was like 84 when she said this. And she said, well, that's okay because I don't have to raise them. Because all she sees on TV is all these grandparents raise their grandkids. She said, okay, I didn't have to raise them. And I'm
you
like, well,
know,
there's a good attitude.
I have I don't know, and this is probably horrible for me to say, but I'm always pretty much to say how I feel. Is it, as a woman, and I have 3 children, they're 26, 16, and 6, so they're broad spectrums. I'm not gonna lie, I get frustrated about where I'm at in my career because I know that I could achieve more, but I have to slow down and stop sometimes because then I'm looked at as a bad mom. Right. And so we made the decision this year that I'm not cooking. Well, I don't clean because I have a cleaning company. And my husband's doing the cooking. And my 26-year-old doesn't live here. My 16-year-old is self-sufficient. He takes care of himself pretty much. He's 16, almost 17. And that my husband was going to do everything with our daughters. He does the Girl Scouts. He does like everything with her, takes her to school, fixes her hair. And I mean, it's funny because I get grief from the Girl Scout moms sometimes about like, where's her mom? Does she not care? Because I really wanted to drive the company and I knew that I could achieve more. But we all have this like preconceived like notion of what a mom is supposed to look like and pack their kids' lunch. And I'm not doing any of that stuff because I'm doing bigger things for my kids. And so I do catch a lot of grief sometimes for that. But that's the way I feel is that like sometimes I got frustrated because I knew I could make a bigger impact even for my kids. But they were little or we were going through things or I had to stop and slow down. But what if I don't want to stop and slow down? Then I'm looked at like as a bad parent.
No, I heard you on that podcast for a while when you and Chris were talking about it. So my mother
Yeah.
always said, it's hard for me because she also said to me, I was once complaining about the neighbor kids, and my mother said to me, Sharon, women without children make the best mothers. So trying not to criticize other mothers, right? But she said to me in the order, and now she's much older than you. So her order was your husband came first, your kids came second, and you came third. So you two are exactly flipped because you come first, then your husband, and then your kids.
Yes.
But I like the fact, and the statement you made is your 26-year-old left, and now what? And I'm going to say, I think the husband should come first because my mom also said, if you think your kids can live in a happy home, if you don't get along with your husband, you're not. And what's most important is your kids. So make the thing that makes that home happy work. And then your kids will be happy.
So then you have heard our podcast because me and Chris talk about, we have,
I like your philosophy.
We see moms like putting all this work and effort into their kids. And we see it with our friends and our own family and his own family, but their marriages are broken, but they're over here coddling their kids and making them lunch, thinking they're doing the right thing. Those kids grow up and leave you. They leave you and then you're stuck with your husband.
I agree. Yeah. So it's an interesting thing. But no, I do think you're right. Now, how did we full swing get back into this?
Well, we went from cleaning to death to marriage. And now I'm gonna bring it. Oh, it's from kids to marriage. So it was cleaning, death. We're gonna go marriage, kids, marriage, and then I want to bring it back to something I heard you say about you made a mistake again, and it's a common trend I'm seeing right now happening with lawn care and cleaning companies, with those website developers taking advantage of them because they didn't know that when they didn't renew or they didn't want to keep their services, that website went with them.
It's knowledge, and I can't believe that I could be this old and build 8 websites and be this ignorant, and I'm not exactly sure where I went wrong to not know this. I guess I can't stand technology, even though I've got an animated video. I mean, I think it is the best and the worst thing that ever happened, but I am very much a stand back manager. I give jobs to people I trust and I let them do it because you can't be an expert at everything, which I think is a strength. But I don't know if you can let the website go as much as I do. I mean, I probably should have followed it more. But my God, it's a job in itself. It's a career. And how do you find
Yeah.
somebody you can trust?
And so I've personally let go of all of like our external marketing agencies that we've had to just kind of do a reset because I didn't feel it was working for us. I've hired agencies for like, we'll recruit for the software, hired agencies for the cleaning. I've tried them all. I've done everything. And I was like, man, like there's a missing element. So I really dove into like marketing to learn like proper certain steps, top of funnel, middle, bottom, how you do this. But in that, like I've been sharing some of my learning, right? Of like, this is why some agencies don't do this. It's a lot of work to set it up properly. But in that sharing, I have had a lot of people come to me that they've recently lost their website because they didn't understand or they didn't read the paper or they didn't realize that the agency owned it. More so, actually, believe it or not, in lawn care, that they're losing that because when it was sold to them, they're like, oh, we'll get you better results. We can do better SEO. We can do cheaper ads if we build your website. Let us rebuild it. And sadly, a lot of people just recently have ran into that because they're now like not renewing or want to go another place, and they're finding out that that's they're not the case. So for the listeners, my point is that don't feel bad that it happens, but we have to learn how to. Here's my key to everything. I need to learn just enough so that I don't take advantage of, not enough that I'm dangerous. So just enough that you're not taking advantage of, but not enough that you're dangerous. Because then I start like thinking I know how to do it if I know enough. So, for our listeners, I think it's a great point is just to make sure that you own that website, you own that domain, and you own the code that created the website.
Otherwise it's long and costly and
yeah. But I mean, hey, we only know what we know, and it's not a mistake; it's a lesson.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Yes. So we've been on for almost an hour, believe it or not. I think this is the most diverse podcast we've ever done. We started with cleaning, like I said, went to death, went to children, and I love my kids. I don't want anyone to get me wrong. But there are moments, especially as a woman, thinking I have to do all these things in the house and what society thinks I'm supposed to keep up with. There are moments where I feel so frustrated because because I'm a mom, but I love my kids and I have a great time with them. But there's that, like, I can do more, but, I just we're just figuring it out. That's all.
I think you're doing enough. And I would like to say that my mother and father were farmers. So my mother, but I have never not felt like they loved me to the end of the earth. But I will say this. My mother used to write my speeches. And I won a lot of speaking contests. She would write them on strainer pads in the milk house while she was carrying milk. She would walk in the house and say, I got it. And we'd sit down and write it all out, and I would memorize and give it, and I would win speaking contests. And my mom, my mom, you shouldn't be doing this, Evelyn. She's never going to know how to write. You're doing the wrong thing here. But two things here. My mother would make me a brand new dress because we were poor, but she would have me looking cute, and she would drop me off at the speaking contest and go away. And every other mother was sitting there. And my mother went back to the farm and carried milk. And then she would come and pick me up because that was her role, just like yours. She had a job to do. The cows have to get milked and the milk has to go in the milk house or you make no money. She would pick me up. It hurt me a little bit. I'd think about it once in a while, but not a lot. But when all is said and done, I believe my mother loved me more than most of the mothers that dropped their kids off. She wrote my speech and made my dress. And I'm a speech major. I have a degree in rhetoric and public address. So my dad was wrong. My mother taught me how to write by writing. Sometimes you can learn it that way. And she was where she needed to be. And she educated me, gave me my college education. Had she been there like the other mothers were there, those kids didn't go to college because there was no money or they had to pay for half of it. I paid for none. That's the blessing I can't believe I got. So, Libby, there's more than one way to raise a
Yeah.
child.
Just like, the book that I said that we're putting out a kid's book. So the kids' book is dedicated to all of the kids that support their entrepreneur moms because, we're here all the time with the kids and I may be working, but I'm more present than most parents are.
Look at what you did with the Aya on that show. Oh my God, you're building an
Yes.
entrepreneur.
She's already one. I didn't have to build her. So, but I thought this was a great show. I want to go ahead and wrap up. We'll make sure that we put all of Sharon and Paul's information in the show notes in case any of our listeners want to follow up or learn more about what they're doing. And we just filmed a podcast with Holly Moore from Maids and More. So make sure you catch that podcast. It was released last week. All right, guys. Thank you for stopping by, and we're going to wrap up.
Thank you for having me, Libby.
Great to see you, gals.